Hi everyone. We are back again. Uh, with me is Jocelyn Cheng. Jocelyn is a freelance recruiter for VIP crew, but she sometimes also assists commercial airlines with recruitment. And she's going to talk once again today about recruitment for Vietjet and for some Chinese carriers. When it comes to European crew. So if you are a candidate who would like to start your career in the clouds in Asia, Jocelyn is going to tell you a few pieces of information that is good to remember and might be helpful for you to get the job. So hi Jocelyn once again, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me again, Mirella.
That's great. Nice to see you. So last time we talked about the stages, the first actually stage of recruitment for Vietjet. Could you quickly say a few words about it once again, and we can continue?
Sure. Last time we talked about the posture and the department for Vietjet. So moving on, we have there will be a lunch break, and afterward there would be either a group performance or individual solo performance. And for that, either you will have to perform singing, dancing, or script regarding aviation on board scenario. It all depends on the number of candidates that goes to the interview that day. And this is very important because this is like the group interview in Middle Eastern carrier. A lot of people will leave after this stage, and the candidate that remains after this stage, they will proceed to the final interview. Final interview is very friendly. Interview by the upper management of this airline, and it's usually around 15 to 20 minutes. And you will be presented with your contract by the end of the day. So it's a very fast and swift interview.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but the singing is, of course, in English.
Yes, the singing could be in English or it could be in your mother language. As long as it's very friendly and very energetic, then it would be a good choice for this airline.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the candidates who's interested should prepare some songs or some dance just in case. Is it like, kind of, how do they select the task? Are they given the task by the recruiters or they have to draw something or like a lottery ticket?
They have to draw something like lottery ticket.
Mm-hmm. You're right. That's a very interesting way of recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And so the song should be something energetic and sounds something that sounds friendly, basically.
Yes,
Optimistic. Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Good. Okay. So in the first stage, the appearance is also important, as you mentioned, because you need to present your legs, basically, if you are a lady. And for men, it must be the good physique.
Yes.
Later on, you have this task, which is either singing or dancing or a scenario. So are there some scenarios on board?
There's a lot of different scenario on board. It could be argument or it could be medical emergency. So for those of you who's very interested, I suggest you read up on the internet about different medical emergency and how to prevent such medical emergency because it is very relevant. It will also happen on board.
So it's good to know how we can deal with situations on board and what are the typical ones because as for us experienced crew, we know that some medical cases are more common than others. So definitely it's good to read about it.
Definitely.
Okay. And what about the Asian carriers?
Okay, so moving on to Chinese carrier, unlike the Vietnamese carrier, it's more traditional. So for the interview procedure, it's slightly different. But let me start with the first stage of the interview, which is very similar for all the airline. that is recruiting in Europe. For the first interview, your CV usually has to pass the online assessment, and either a local representative will call you by phone to invite you to the interview in your home country, or either they will send you an email. Once you receive the email, you would go to the interview. What I would suggest you to do is, for female candidate, is try not to apply red nail polish. For a Middle Eastern carrier or for a budget carrier, they are very open to the idea of you applying red nail polish. But for Chinese carrier, they prefer someone who usually have very clear or clean nails. So you could either go with a neutral color, or you could go with a clear polish. Make sure that your hands very neat and very clean.
So like nude color or clear.
Yes, definitely. They want someone who's more obedient and more plain. And for the first round of interview, there would usually be separate into a group of 10, and there will be 3 interviewer, where you would be invited into a room where you'll be given a number, and you would have to walk to the sticker which aligns to your number. Let's say I'm number 1, then I will walk and stand behind the sticker number 1. During this, you have to pay particular attention, because the Chinese interviewer, they would observe how you walk and how you turn. They are very particular about how you stand and how you turn. At this stage, you would go in. Some airline might not ask you to introduce yourself. They just want to see how your posture. Some airline might have ask you to have a brief introduction, where you tell them about your age and your name and the school that you graduated from, or what you're doing right now, and that's basically about it. And some Chinese carrier, they will ask you to greet passenger. They would give you a standard greeting, like welcome aboard something something airline. So this is the first stage.
So basically, it's all about the body posture and body language.
Yes, they are quite particular.
And also communication with the passenger.
Yes.
They are trying to check your aptitude, good enough for the job, or not. Okay.
Moving on, for the second round of interview, there might be some deviation for the 5 different carrier. I will give you a brief example, and I'm not talking about any specific carrier, but for the second round of interview, some airline would usually have a simple question and answer. They'll probably ask you, how old are you? What is your major? What did you study? What do you like about your job? What don't you like about your job? And how comfortable are you in working for this airline and moving to China? Nothing extensive and nothing particular. And some other airline would have group interview, like Emirates or Qatar Airways does very similar group interview, where you would not be having a question and answer. If there's no group interview, some airline would also give you a topic where you need to prepare a 10 to 15 minutes speech. Everyone will be given a same topic. So different airline has different requirement, and it's basically to see how well you fit into their company.
Okay, but all these stages are carried out in China, or also?
All these stages are carried out in Europe. For the airline which would invite candidate to the airline hub, the only airline that I know which would invite candidate to the airline hub is Korean Air and Asiana Air, where you have to go through the final interview in Korea.
Okay, but these. These Chinese airlines that you are talking about, the recruitment is basically the first stage online, and then it is carried out in Europe.
Yes, yes, definitely. The recruitment team will fly into Europe.
Okay. So you need to also wait for invitation to come.
Yes, there's no open interview, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, good. And is there any other information about the recruitment that you can
Oh,
share?
definitely. Something very particular about Chinese carrier that I have not experienced before working in a Middle Eastern airline is they would have uniform fitting. For the final stage of interview, some airline would have uniform fitting where you would wear the uniform and they would have professional photographer take pictures of you in different poses in their uniform. So this is for them to bring this picture back to the HQ and for the HQ personnel to see who is the most suitable candidate. And some airline would have you wear the uniform and you would have to go back into a room in a group of 10 and stand back in the queue. Let's say number one, then I stand back to the number one sticker. Number two, I stand behind the number two sticker. And then you would ask you a simple self-introduction and ask you why do you want to work for this airline. So basically, this is something very interesting about Chinese carrier. They're looking for the good fit, whether it's mentally or psychologically or physically. They want someone who could fit into their airline.
So it's important to fit to the culture of the company.
Yes, yes.
It's not about how intelligent you are or not, but basically if you are going to fit into the environment.
Yeah, you have to basically fit into the environment and a bit different than Middle Eastern airline.
On the one hand, but on the other hand, for the Middle Eastern carriers, you also need to fit into the policy, the culture, because some of them are stricter, some of them are not that strict. Basically, if you don't like some of the rules that they ask you to follow, you don't fit to the culture of the company, and it's better not to start flying with them. It's just as simple as that. So that's something you must be aware of, and you must be on if you want to work for these companies.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So is there anything else you would like to add?
That basically sum up what I would want to talk about for today.
I have one more question when it comes to the uniform fitting. Does it mean that there is only, for example, one size of the uniform or two sizes?
No. They would have a grooming officer. They would come to the interview and they would assist you. There would be uniform size from small, medium to large.
Okay.
You pick something that is most form-fitting for your figure.
Because I know a lot of people are worried about the weight, and there are very often questions if I have to be slim to be a flight attendant. The Western carriers, I wouldn't say it's like that, because I know a lot of batchmates who were not very slim, and still it didn't really matter. Even though this is, I think, kind of a stereotype that if you want to work in the Middle East, you have to be very slim. And what about the Chinese carriers?
For the Chinese carrier, they prefer someone who is medium to slim.
All right.
Medium built to slim.
All right. So this is the New Year's resolution.
For me and for you.
Me, I don't have to. I think I need to get more muscles, but I definitely don't need to lose weight. But yes, for candidates who would like to start flying in Asia, it's good to take care of the body weight and be a little bit slim.
Definitely.
Slimmer. All right, great. So thank you very much. We are preparing another interview for cabin crew who would like to get experience in Asia as a VIP crew. And also some other things that we want to discuss, but we are going to give more details soon. So if you are interested, just follow us. You can find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Instagram and on Facebook as well, of course.